which they all gave up on. My sisters were both professors and older than I was, but probably by the time I was 12, nobody would play me Scrabble anymore because it was too frustrating. And my dad's an educated man. He was a principal. He's still a very intelligent man, even though he's in his 90s. But pretty much my family gave up competing against me in games by the time I was about 12. And that was probably good timing because at that point I got introduced to home poker games. Right. And again, I played enough cards that I had good poker sense. And, I took off winning right away.
Well, you go to the University of Illinois. You finished in 3 years. Right?
Yeah. Well, actually, I stayed on the third year. It's kind of interesting. Without going to summer school, which is kind of unheard of, I took more courses than anyone else. I had no credits going in, AP credits. I actually finished in about 2.5 years, which they told me at the time nobody took as many courses as I did. They even tried to stop me. So I'm getting almost all A's. Mm-hmm. But like I say, academics was just really easy for me. When I was done at the midway point, I didn't know, because I didn't know that much about school. I was going to go to graduate school. Actually, I was thinking of going either to Stanford for graduate school in computer science or staying at University of Illinois. One of the deciding factors was where the best poker games were. I knew there were good ones at University of Illinois. But I didn't know you don't get into grad school in the mid-year. Right. So what I did, actually, Donald Knuth, who's a very well-known guy, professor at Stanford, he was kind of like a pen pal of mine because I used to write up and back with him about stuff in his books. And I used to find errors in his books, and he'd send me money for that. It's kind of a funny thing. And he was the one who told me, since you're graduating at such an early point, but you should be better rounded. And he advised that I do some things that were, instead of academic, musical is what he suggested. And I actually did take his suggestion, and my last semester of my third year, I played piano 3 hours a day.
Wow.
That was my big passion. Then I just played a lot of piano, and I got to where I could play my mom's favorite piece. For my final piece, I played Claire de Lune. And I just had a lot of fun with it. A friend of mine was a concert pianist. I was practicing to be a concert pianist, and we would just go to the piano hall on the University of Illinois and play on the grand pianos, and I do that every day.
Funny, I didn't even know that about you.
Yeah.
Well, while you're in school, you're still playing poker on the side.
Right. Normally on the weekends.
Well, how much was dedicated to poker in school?
I didn't study at all, frankly, and I never needed to. I go to class and pay attention, but that's all I needed to do. So I didn't study, and so I got A's in most of my courses unless they required papers because I didn't do all the papers. Okay, because frankly, I wasn't a good student. Right. And a lot of that is because I never had to be a good student. The first time I ever studied was finals weeks of the different years. I'd study hard during finals week.
You're probably bored with the
School
work.
just wasn't much of a challenge for me.
Right.
It wasn't until I was a graduate student in mathematics that finally working on unsolved problems is a challenge for anyone. And so that was the first time I was really challenged academically that I could remember.
So on these weekends, what types of games were you playing?
Well, we had games. I sometimes had them in my apartment where we'd have games with a food spread. My girlfriend would make the food, prime rib and lobster, charge $50 to sit down. And we played mixed games, usually high-low split. In those days, for sure, my favorite game was 7-stud high-low declare. Right. It's a fun game where you always have to figure out which way people are going, and knowing when to go the other way because someone's strong one way is the biggest skill in that game. So I had a lot of fun with that.
All right, let's jump forward. 2003, you win the $1 million 7-card stud tourney at Larry Flint's Poker Challenge Cup. How did you feel that day?
Wasn't a big deal.
No?